Hello, I am Kevin Dunklee. I will be your professor of macroeconomics for the fall semester of 2023 at Fanshawe College. Welcome to it. I'm excited to be walking you through this course. This is required in your program for a reason, and it is because it doesn't matter what discipline of business you want to get into. Whether you go into human resources, you go into operations management, you go into private entrepreneurship, it doesn't matter what you do. Some knowledge of economics is going to be useful for you. Now, having said that, I don't necessarily agree that this system of economics is the only one or even the best one. I am just simply telling you that this is the prevailing mode of economic thought in our time, and we need to be able to understand it in order to understand the economic conditions in which we live. Even if we're not going into business, in a private household, how do we predict what we're going to be doing 5 years down the road? If we want to buy a cottage, if we want to buy a home, we want to buy a trailer, we want to buy a boat, it doesn't matter. We have to be able to make those decisions based on the incomes we have now, the predictability of them increasing, how much the cost of everything else is going to go up if we want to have any kind of saving plan or forward thinking plans regarding our financial future. We need to have some knowledge about the economic system around us. This course is a fairly good survey course that is going to show you through a lot of the prevailing economic thought of our time. You might ask yourself some of these questions sometimes. Why do prices continue to rise? It's probably been true as long as you've been alive. It's certainly been true as long as I've been conscious and alive and able to look around me and make purchases on my own and have some personal autonomy. For that entire time that I've had that ability in my life, I have noticed the price of things, and I've noticed that the prices of things tend to increase. Why should that be? I've also noticed that the quality of a lot of things has actually gone down, even as the prices have increased. Why should that be? We hear a lot in the news right now about inflation. People talk about inflation and what they're going to do about it. A lot of our political leaders want to talk about what they're going to do about it. You hear one side say, oh, well, we need to provide a social service or a social program or actual transfer benefits to households in order to help them deal and cope with inflation. Then you'll find the other side that'll say, well, if you give people a bunch of money, then it's going to contribute to inflation. It's going to make prices rise even faster, so you can't do that. Which side of that argument do you sit on? Well, with the proper tools, we can sit down and we can look at situations like that, and we can participate in that kind of discussion. I'm not going to tell you that we're going to come up with all the answers in this one course that we're taking here, but we're going to get a little taste of the economic theories that have brought us to the point we're at right now. And a lot of people have questions. It really is in the news. And you could almost argue that just about every social problem that we have boils in some way down to the economics. People behave very differently in situations where there is abundance than where they perceive there to be scarcity. People behave in very different ways based on what they believe about the abundance of what's around them, how they feel about their future, how they feel about the people that they're also bringing up in their household, how they believe about the futures of those people. A lot of human behavior can boil down to how people feel about the scarcity or abundance of things that enable them to survive or to thrive. And that is economics. So, in order to understand the world around us and the way that people interact and the way that nations interact, we are going to have a look at economics. And we're going to look at it from a macro perspective, which means a larger perspective. You have probably taken a course in microeconomics before. At the beginning of this course, it's going to look somewhat similar to that course in microeconomics because there are some basics that touch both. But then we're going to start to expand a little bit. And in that course, you were looking at firms and you were looking at individuals and how decisions are made that way. Well, some of the same principles apply when you go into the larger realm of looking at nations, even provinces, societies, and how they function economically. Some of the same principles apply because we have the same fundamentals in our way of political thought or of economic thought. And it's no coincidence that I happen to slip into one of those terms or the other because I believe that our politics is very much rested on the economics. And you would find that to be true if you sit and use whatever news outlet you're tuning into. You're going to find that a lot of the political discussion bases itself in the economics. So it's of primary importance that we develop some kind of economic literacy. So my job here and what we're going to try to do is we're going to try and enrich our understanding of the world around us as it pertains to the economics. And we're going to look at some ways in which it has been looked at over time. Again, I'm going to place the caveat that I'm in no way saying that this is the only way to look at economics. But it is the prevailing way in our society. So in order to be critics of that or supporters of it, we need to know what it is. So let's go through this together. I hope by now you've found your way to the instructions on the home page and have registered for Pearson. The instructions are all there. There are a lot of tools you can use within the Pearson site. Whether you choose the paper textbook as I do, I'll be going a lot from the paper version of the textbook, but if you're comfortable with just using the online version, you can do that as well. I believe there's a bit of a cost saving in there. So, but nonetheless, you're going to want to get logged into that site because there are some evaluations that are only done within Pearson. That's something about this course, is that some of your evaluations are in FOL, some of them are in the Pearson site. So you're going to want to get logged into that first and fish around in there. This course is a combination of terms you're going to need to know and little facts that you're going to need to memorize, and then frameworks for thought that ways of thinking of things. Keep in mind that these are not the only ways of thinking of things. So if you find yourself dissatisfied with some of the explanations that you find in this course, don't think that you're wrong. Let's bring them up. I'm available. You can email me anytime you like, and if we do need to get together for something, we can do that. I am planning to make some regular occasions where people have the opportunity to get together. You could call them office hours or virtual hours. And I will make those times available, and I will also gladly meet with anyone virtually in order or at the college in order to help you to understand anything that's going on. We can talk about any questions you have or any concerns you have as you're going through the material. The evaluations, the tests are going to be through FOL. And the rest of the instructions are there in the content, and I'll be enhancing them as we go along with some announcements and some emails and some communication. So I hope to get to know some of you. I know this is an asynchronous online course and that we're not formally getting together. You are taking a great responsibility on yourself for going through this material, but I am also taking on the responsibility of guiding you through that. So I would like opportunities to do that, so please feel free to reach out. It is in my framework of design to put up some forums that we can all participate in as well. But let's let that evolve as it goes along. In the meantime, just get registered for your Pearson and get ready to really plunge into the material in the coming weeks.